Morning, folks. Today's shave is brought to us from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. This one here is called Frost Byte. It has a number of different cooling, we'll say, agents in this one here. It's got like tea tree, mint, peppermint, menthol. Um, got a few things in there to, I guess you might say, excite the nose. And it does. It right up through my sinuses. It's right up in there. Um, awesome. This scent is pretty nice. Like I say, it works great for my nose. And went ahead and picked up the matching aftershave here. Um, the link I have down below is for the combination of the two. In other words, the bundle, and it'll run you about $36. Now this is the, I guess you might say, this is the Crown King version, not the CK6 version. So thought I should point that out. Already put a hot towel to the face this morning in Preshave oil. Preshave oil, by the way, of Maggard's razors. This one here is sweet orange, is what I've been using here late. And the shaver, still using the, as it goes for the blade, the Astra green or superior platinum, if you will. In other words, this one here. And got it in the Mag T, the Delta open comb. This razor right here doesn't need a stand, stands on its head just fine, or the crown I should say. And it weighs about 5 ounces. I think it was 4¼ inches long, something like that. It's pretty lengthy. This will be the third shave on this blade. Now, typically for me, the third shave, usually most blades, not all, but a number of them will start to show the wear and tear. So we'll see how this one here works out for us today, or for me, I should say. Got this whipped up a little on the wet side. It's running just a little bit with the Crown King. This particular brush has got a synthetic knot. I've had this one here for a while. This is one of the early brushes, if you will. But it's not exactly drippy, but it's fairly wet. You might be able to see that. There it goes. That's pretty wet. It takes a little while, but it'll finally get there. So it should rinse out pretty good, and plenty of slickness on the face. Like I said, already put a hot towel to the face, so we'll go ahead and put the pre-shave oil on. I've already got it on, and we'll go ahead and wet the face and get started with this third shave, same blade. And like I say, typically it's very noticeable on the third shave with a blade that, in other words, it's been used a time or two. Some blades are a little different. In other words, it's noticeable on the second one. The past 2 shaves with this blade has been pretty smooth. Can't complain a bit about it. So one of the characteristics about this particular shaver is due to the magnets that are in the crown and the base plate, that it is supposed to have some sort of effect on the longevity of the blade. And I'm sure you probably need to use it even more than 3 times, and in other words, maybe in a month, in other words, to test out the theory in behind that. But I thought maybe just 3 might do the trick. Because sometimes, like I say, some blades on the third try, it is quite noticeable for me sometimes that it's on the third shave. You can kind of tell by the whiskers here that they're not exactly thin. These whiskers are kind of hard on blades. That's the reason why a number of them, 2 is about all the further I will go. Some of them it's 1 and done. And typically that's how it is because of rotating in and out of shavers and whatnot. I don't like leaving the blade in there. Now this blade here, will say that I did take it out, wipe it off, and put it back in there. In other words, not leave it wet and all that sort of thing. So we'll go ahead and get this razor wet and see how it works. Just like I say, this will be the this is going to be the third shave on this blade. Should be quite obvious now, huh? This soap, like anything else that's somewhat mentholated or got a lot of peppermint in it or tea tree or anything like that, want to be careful around the eyes. Now, the handle is a very unique shape, but I don't find myself struggling to figure out, in other words, almost naturally how to hang on to the razor with the handle being this shape. It might take you a shave or two figure out exactly how you want to hold it. For me, it just seems kind of natural. Just different. But it is something for some people mentally will have to get past. We're so used to relatively round handles that anything shaped quite like this might be a little bit of a problem mentally. I know I have Occam's razor, I guess you might say the first one where they come out with a single edge, and the handle is relatively flat. Through the center of it, it's kind of concave, but still flat, similar to this. In other words, it's got a little bit of a wide handle to it, flat, about so thick, and there for the longest, I didn't think I could ever get past the fact that that handle was shaped that way. I just didn't think I would ever get used to it. And one day it finally dropped down to a particular price point, and I decided to give it a try. And I was quite surprised that I didn't have any problems, getting used to it. In other words, very first shave was just fine. The cooling effect is starting to kick in. But I can understand if you're got some reservations about the handle. Like I said, I don't think that the aggressiveness of the shaver is, I don't feel like it's over the top. The blade feel is there, it is present, but it's, how can you say, manageable. Just have to keep in mind that it is about 5 ounces. So you're just gliding across the face, so it doesn't take, in other words, a whole lot of pressure. And let the weight of the shaver and the sharpness of the blade do the work for you. And I have to say, this third shave on this blade is not showing the typical, I guess you might say, wear and tear. And it could have something to do with how the shaver has been designed. That it's, how can you say, just a better dial in on exactly where that gap should be for what they're trying to achieve. I have to say, it is a lot of fun because with this being such a unique shape, it takes just a little bit to get used to. You can tell on the crown that it's already beveled. In other words, already got a preset angle for you. Make it a little bit easier for you to get used to what's the proper angle for it. Not much left. I would have to say, if you're interested in doing just a 2-pass shave well, at least for me, I should say, because of my beard growth, with the grain and against the grain would probably be the 2, and then on my against the grain, if I vary just to catch that little spot back over here that I've got, that the whiskers grow every which way, that I could do a 2-pass BBS shave pretty easy with this shaver. I have to say, this stuff, it works wonderful for my nose. I am picking up the tea tree, if you're kind of wondering. I know it's easy to pick up the peppermint, the menthol, the mint, and that it's pretty easy for me to pick up, but every once in a while I am picking up the tea tree. Feels great on the face. I know that a cooling effect is not always everybody's favorite thing, but for me, it's most enjoyable. Eyes are watering just a little bit, not a whole lot. Don't think I mentioned it in this video just yet, that this magnet's got like a 4-pound pull. It's got a heck of a pull. The crown's not going anywhere. Cap. Once again, in this video, I'll go ahead and put down the link not only to Shave Nation's website where they're selling this particular razor, but also the manufacturer's website also. And you can check out their information on this shaver. Gio's already done a video on it, did a pretty good job on it, and a lot of information put out in his video. Third shave, and this blade feels just like it did. I would say it's smoother on the second shave. First shave, and it could be more the fact that I was just trying to get used to the shaver, but the second shave was smoother than the first, and the third is still pretty smooth, smoother than the first. So it might have been more me just trying to get used to the razor, but I really like this razor. I get good shaves out of it. Efficient, smooth. Like I say, you really got to get used to the weight of that razor, so let that weight guide, just slide on across the face. Let the sharpness of the blade do the work for you. It does not take much pressure. Pretty sure if you're used to lightweight shavers, there will be a learning curve, I would think. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on the face with this razor. Just let it guide. Boy, howdy, I tell you what though, this is it's been a really nice shave. I think I lost a bristle out of there. Pretty nice. The cooling effect, it seems to, in the first pass, it seemed to take a moment, and then the second pass is when it really started to pick up. I'm going to go ahead, my hands are still a little wet, so I'm going to get the pull on this is pretty heavy. That's what the underside looks like if we get it in the light. And there's that magnet in the center. Here's the blade right here. I mean, and it just sticks right in there. Matter of fact, it's still there. In other words, that magnet is pretty strong. In other words, if you're unfamiliar and don't know what a 4-pound magnet pull feels like, it's pretty strong. So even when you go to, I don't know if I can show this or not. So I'm going to remove it. See how the blade is already bowing? That's how strong that magnet is. It's pretty strong. For if you that's a sharp blade, of course. But you know, as kids, when I was younger, magnets were always fun. If you could find one to mess around with, I can remember back then having found a really strong magnet and magnetized one of my mom's, the silverware. It was a knife, stuff like that. When you're a kid messing around, this magnet's pretty strong. Got a little bit of, I don't think it's the razor. I think I've got a little bit of a blemish right there. That's the reason I got some stinging. But outside that, I don't have any. Just a really nice shave. I could see somebody using this as a daily shaver. At least I know I could, with little to no trouble. It's such an easy one to get used to. I'm used to the weighty razors to begin with, so letting the weight of the razor do its work is pretty easy for me to do. I struggle more getting used to the lightweight ones than I do the heavyweights. Of course, I did start on one that was over, what, 3 ounces, so kind of got my teeth cut on them pretty early. Feels wonderful this morning. All right, here we go with the aftershave. Now this cap is, it's got some flat sides to it, but still a little bit hard for me to hang on to when my hands are wet. That's what it looks like if you haven't seen the restrictor. It's built in, it's glass, there's no plastic there. And it does have a little bit of a, at least for my eyes and my lights, it has a green tint to it. Just a slight green tint, at least it looks green to me. This is definitely great for the senses. You can feel the cooling effect, sinuses are opening up. This is awesome. This is, if you had the chisel face cryogen and if you didn't really like it, maybe you thought it was over the top, can't stand the menthol, with this one here having different elements, working together for the cooling effect, you might find the Frostbite more up your alley than maybe than a cryogen, for instance. It just depends on where you're at. For me, I like both of them. My cooling effect I can definitely deal with. You just feel it going to work. Had a great shave this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.